welcome to this new. It's our first exhibition, official exhibition in this new space at Sickhouse. This is a Friendly Secrecy System, and this is an exhibition around and started with Janne Schimmel, who's here, and we thought maybe it's nice because it's very fascinating work. It's nice for you to discover a little bit more about the practice of Janne. And then it makes you want to play even more the games, but maybe also look more carefully at the sculpture that they have. So this is why we're doing this. We're gonna keep it simple. If you have questions, you can ask questions, and then we'll see if we manage to answer. And Janne send us a few pictures, so that's pictures that's gonna help us talk, and then especially about the new work that Janne developed for this exhibition with the artist Vincent Sombray. Is it right? So we're also gonna look at this, so you're gonna get to see how this happened, right? So just for the people who don't know you yet, maybe we can say, I don't know what you like to say about yourself. If you like to say where you're from, or what is your, or you start with your favorite game, or.
Yeah, sure. My name is Janne Schimmel. I'm a sculptor and media artist, and I'm based in between Antwerp in Belgium and Arnhem in the Netherlands. My practice revolves a lot around modding existing video game consoles. And creating games for them. And then sometimes I also like to open up my sculptures to host video games by other artists that I enjoy the work of.
And this, so modding, I guess half of the people know and maybe the other half doesn't know. Can you say maybe a tiny bit what it is, and then when did this start for you, this interest?
Yeah, so video, or you have video game modding, and then you have game console modding. And game console modding is a tradition that started with LAN parties in the 90s. LAN parties were basically meetups where groups of people would come together to play games together, and this was before the internet was very prevalent. So you needed to actually physically hook up your computer to each other's computer to play an online game together. And then people wanted to show off the hardware that was in their computer, so they started to cut open their cases, and then that evolved into like building custom water cooling loops and just trying to make the most awesome computer ever. But then these builds also revolve a lot around wanting to show that your computer has a lot of speed and power. So I really like the tradition of taking something or buying something that exists and making it your own. But in my own case modding practice, I also try to incorporate aesthetics that are a bit more open to allow feelings of softness or different emotional resonances.
So, and this softness of this non-powerful, how do you choose your material?
That's very intuitive, I think. So a lot of the work I do is just I get interested in the material or a specific technique, and then I explore that, and then I bring in some hardware which might look very aggressive, and then I see like, oh, how can I contrast that? Like, do I have to use a specific color, or do I have to use a specific decorative pattern? And then I put these two together. So it's never really, yeah, it happens sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally.
Is there like in your studio a lot of material that potentially can find a place in your sculpture, or is it like something you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Part of it is just collecting little bits and bobs, pieces of jewelry or existing materials. But part of it is also going to the wood store and finding a nice piece of wood, or some of it is also inspired by watching YouTube videos and then seeing somebody try a new technique of metal casting or something like that, and then I want to emulate that, and then it evolves from there.
Is this how you learned, like with video?
Yeah, it's basically all YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you don't like, or do you have now maybe a little community of people who using these kind of tools, or this? Is there like, are there around you people who have a practice like a bit connected to yours?
Yes,
yeah?
yes, for sure. It's always fun to run into people who have similar interests. There's Rijn somewhere here in the audience also, who is who I share a lot of interest with within the same subjects, and then it's also very fun sometimes to just talk shop basically and just like share what kind of machine do you have, can I do this, can I do that. So it's not always only conceptual talk, but also just some shop talk that I really enjoy.
And are you like a collector also of old consoles, or is this you get the one you need when you need them, or?
It depends also a little bit on how much effort has been put by a certain community to be able to create games for it. So, for instance, for the Game Boy Color, there's a developer from London. The name escapes me right now, but he created a piece of software that allows you to quite easily create a Game Boy game that can then run on original hardware. And some systems, there hasn't been so much community effort to get into them, and then it's super hard as a single person, especially if you don't have so much coding knowledge, to create a game for that. So it really depends on the community.
And now your practice is a lot around the object itself, and then the software. You invite other people. How do you connect with these people? How do you choose them? How do you find them?
Yeah, a lot of it is from itch.com, which is a website where anyone can upload their own video games. And a lot of art and homebrew games, they end up on itch.com because it's quite an open community and it's a bit less aimed towards commercial success, like a platform like Steam, for instance, would be, or Unreal, or anything where you can find the AAA games. One very sad thing, though, is that it's recently started to censorship games that have 18+ content in them, because there has been a call from the credit card companies to censor certain games because they don't want to be associated with this. This is in itch, but also in the Steam store, and it's quite a prevalent problem within a lot of marketplaces that share content, which is quite scary and also quite sobering that a platform like itch that I associated to be very open would agree to that. So that's a little bit of a pity. So now we have to see what other platforms will arise where we can find this openness. Yeah.
One of the things I discovered while you were building up here is little stones on the sculptures, and then I realized several of them have different kind of stones. Is there like a special relation to this, or I don't know? Some people have relation with stones or feel. Do you want to share something about stones?
Yeah, stones are very pretty, of course. I think we can all relate to that. I think when I first started using stones, they were more of like these crystals that you maybe sometimes find in certain video games. And then I got quite interested in why do the video games that we play allow us to submerge ourselves into these very ritualistic, overly decorative worlds. But then the typical room of a gamer looks very stylized and very industrial. So I got interested in this contrast, and that's why I then took some of these crystals and introduced them into the hardware themselves. But sometimes, like I said before, also it's more intuitive. Like I have also a few pebbles in there that I got from the farm of my grandma, because she at some point had to leave her farm, and then I wanted to make her a little present with some of the stones from our farm that I casted in tin. And then I enjoyed this process, so then I took that also in some other sculptures. So it's also a bit about somehow building a sort of like a library or data bank of things you enjoy, and that then comes back in other sculptures.
So now when you add a lot of stories in one sculpture, and then you welcome other artists inside the sculpture, how do you does every game fit every sculpture, or are you making sculpture for spatial game or choosing spatial games for? How does this work?
Yeah, there's for sure a curational aspect to it, I think. A lot comes just from my own inherent interest in video games. But then it's also a bit about facilitating a conversation, because I don't want to force the context of my own sculpture onto somebody. So to me it's really important that then the person I invite also finds it interesting to show their game there, and that it's also very clear for them, like, what is the idea of the exhibition, what does the sculpture look like, what kind of controls are there. The sculpture I now collaborated with Vincent also started in this way, and then the game that I invited from them needed some extra peripherals to be able to play the game, because I had quite a limited control setup for my own game. And then I created a little add-on thingy that I then screwed next to it, so you can also play their game to the full extent. So it's a bit of a back and forth sometimes as well.
Maybe it's like the right time to go and look into, because the pictures you selected are a lot about this work. So I don't know the order, if it's like...
No, it's not so much of a selection and more a bit of like a photo roll dump. But so you can, I think there's about 60.
But
so
this is maybe for you as a game. You can try to find this element back in these sculptures, but they are there. And but this exactly, so there's a lot of 3D modeling, and then working with the machine, and then trying, and then talking to Vincent, I guess, or showing him. Did Vincent could see what you were doing, or how did you communicate with each other?
Yeah, for sure. And the process also started because the sculpture with Vincent, it's built around 2 custom rotating interfacing wheels. So one of the first steps was also, first we decided on what kind of interface components we wanted to explore. And then I built them a set that then I shipped to them, so they could also tactically experience and develop for the game. So there was some back, and then I sent some other parts also. At some point we were interested in small screens, but that then we scrapped in the end. So
okay, so you did not, this is like a late model. It's not something you said, okay, let's build this.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's, okay.
Yeah, exactly. This is the CNC machine which I used to mill out the aluminium.
This is all in your atelier?
Yeah, exactly. This is the fiberglass layup of the control panel. This is the very first prototype, everything from wood and 3D print still.
Oh, so this is not what we're seeing here?
No, this is just trying to figure out all the shapes, and I build a lot digitally, and then I have to take it into the real world to see if it actually fits and if the proportions are correct, and if how to assemble it and how to make sure that I can also take it apart again and it can be repaired. Because exactly, this is something you were mentioning today, that you want that everything is repairable, so that you can also maintain your sculpture. It's not like a... Yeah, exactly. So I try to never glue something, but every assembly should have a sub-assembly that then can be bolted together and taken apart again. And then I also upload all the 3D files of my sculptures. I upload online on my Thingiverse, so anyone can technically download them and rebuild the sculpture also, to make it open. But I still struggle with that a little bit, because you would need quite some instructions to be able to do it, but then to make the instructions, that would take a lot of work. So I'm still trying to balance, like, how much instructions do I give and how much time can I spend on that, because I also want to build a sculpture. So I'm still trying to figure out how to balance those two.
But did anybody ever try to rebuild a sculpture from you?
No, one time a student of mine printed the controller and used it in their work, so that was quite funny to see back. Yeah, that they found that. But
a good try.
Yeah, she got a 10, of course.
Of course.
Excellent work. No,
nice.
No, it's just a little test.
I think it's really interesting. That's a nice challenge for other artists, and to see also to decide, okay, what would be their choices. Could they pick a different material and then have their take on it? It's really nice. So this is what you sent.
Yeah,
to
this is
Vincent?
what
Yeah.
is sent to Vincent. Indeed. So it's really a bare bones setup. Then we didn't have an idea yet of the shape of where it would go, but we had the bare bones mechanics, and like the one wheel is encoded, so it has a little clicky noise, and the other one is springed. So we knew that we wanted, and we took it from there.
And what was the reaction of Vincent with this? What did they send you back?
Yeah, they liked it. Yeah,
Okay.
they also yeah. Yeah, they also had.
They were developing the game, the software at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then, did this started something in their process, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we were just going back and forth a lot, so it's hard to pinpoint once.
Yeah.
There wasn't necessarily a eureka moment or something. But yeah, it was good to get the actual hardware in hand. It is a little bit inspired of an existing controller that you use for video editing, which also has a springed wheel and an encoded wheel. So we were sort of riffing on that. But then, of course, it was important to have the actual thing in hand to be able to. This was also quite early process, so they had this controller for most of the development of the game.
Yeah, yeah. Some little. This is the stone. So then, what comes first? Did you decide I want to put stones, or did you put the stones and then?
Yeah, this one here, I decided like I want to have those stones in because I had this process already before.
Yeah.
But a few other details, then I make the mold out of sand, and then I just add them on the fly.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a back and forth on that.
And you're comfortable with like all this, like the physical and the software and all of this is.
Yeah, I quite enjoy that actually, because some days I just want to sit down and be on my computer.
Yeah.
And some days I really just like to run around and play around with all the machines. Yeah.
Cool. How big is your studio?
It's around 60 square meters, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is then the sand mold that I cast the aluminium in. And then you can, on the next photo, you can always be very precise in the computer, but then you have to be able to also get that precision back in the real world. So here you can see some 3D printed jigs that then need to clamp around it to be able to file it flat to make sure that all parts fit together properly. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a puzzle that I also quite enjoy, like how can you get back the precision that is in the computer in the real world, and it never really works, so you have to come up with solutions, and that's quite fun.
Yeah. So, you were almost there?
No, this is
Or
very
still
first prototype.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was like months ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because the show was supposed to happen last September.
Yeah.
This is what we would have get.
Yeah, practically, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it would have been all right also.
Yeah, and there's some other things.
Yeah, there are quite some photos that you can go through them quite quickly, I think.
I go through them.
Yeah. This is some more filing and some more mold making, precision.
It's beautiful. All these different techniques you have to work on.
Yeah.
And Vincent did not come to your studio yet.
No, it was all remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the shape, right?
Yeah, so I CNC milled it from styrofoam, and then you have to cover it with plastic, because then I cover it with fiberglass and polyester resin, but the polyester resin eats the styrofoam if you do not cover it. So that's what you see there.
And this chair?
Yeah, this chair my girlfriend actually found online. Because I said, I still need to figure out a stool, I don't know what to do. And she is very good at online shopping and finding stuff online. So she was like, okay, I'll find something for you. And then she found this cool bar stool. It first had also wooden legs attached, but that I removed, and then I put it on another frame that I had. And then it was fixed, so.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, exactly. My girlfriend, she says also you don't have to build everything yourself. Just buy something sometimes. And after making this tool, I take that advice to heart. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was about 2 years after I finished studying. I finished studying in 2018, so 2020, about 6 years ago, I built my own computer for the first time. Before that, I was also always using laptops. And then I got really interested in these parts and how to put it together. And that's when I then also created my first sculpture around some modular computer components. So that's when it all started. And then, so first I was really interested in contemporary hardware. I still am. But then later, through watching YouTube videos, I got more and more interested into old hardware as well.
Okay, so it's a pretty new practice.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And now, is there hardware or a machine or robots you are like you want to open up or you want to?
Yeah, I'm doing
with?
a residency now that's gonna start next week at the Royal Academy in Antwerp, and there they have a lab that's all around immersive media. And I recently found in a second-hand shop it's a Novint Falcon, which is a haptic feedback controller from 2007. It's very strange and hard to explain, but you're holding this knob that you can freely rotate in 3D space, and then it has some motors attached that give you force feedback. So if you would shoot a gun in a game, for instance, it would like give you a kickback. But now I want to see, together with the help and the expertise of the people in the lab, if I can use this for some kind of game device. Yeah. But there is not a big community around it, so then I'm not myself so good at figuring out these systems or coding, so then it's nice to collaborate with the people from this residency.
Okay, ambitious. No, we were just talking about this question before, and we were more like, oh, what about the vacuum cleaner and your kitchen tools? Are you also exploring these things at home, or no, not yet?
At home in my house?
I don't know if it becomes like a fascination and you want to know all this.
Yeah, not so much. I kind of have to pick my battles in that sense, because otherwise it takes too much time. Yeah.
Okay. And I was also, maybe you can say a little bit about this part.
This was just, I needed some keycaps for the keyboard part of the new sculpture, and I ordered them from AliExpress, and then this was supposed to be the delete button. It was quite funny.
So could this be the start of something new? The Delele sculpture?
Could be. Could be. Yeah, why not?
It's almost like a holistic name or something.
Maybe it's the next show title.
Yeah. It's nice. And this, for example, also on the sculpture, there's these two words, but yes and maybe.
Yeah.
How did you choose for them? Is it like did the keyboard gave you these words, or is it you decided? And
yeah, I previously made a sculpture where there were two computers standing in front of each other, and you could chat with each other through an application. But then the one keyboard you could only spell out "Do you love me?" and with the other keyboard you could only reply "Yes, I do." So I kind of like the idea of a keyboard that's supposed to give you all the possibilities in the world. What happens if you shrink that down to a very specific interaction? And then for this keyboard setup, I like the idea of having a little bit of ambiguity versus sort of like the binary thinking of computer code. But also in general, in internet culture, there is a lot of either very extreme love or very extreme hate. So I thought it was nice to also leave some space for if you are not sure what something means. So that's why there's the yes, and then there's the maybe, but there's not a no. Yeah.
Exactly, this is the maybe. I think I thought there was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now we're getting to the end because this was last week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this little character came in last week?
No, this was before, but I asked actually my girlfriend, because she's good at painting, to paint the little dots, different colors. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I wanted some friendliness.
To add. I have a last question before maybe other people have questions. I was curious, so all these sculptures are interactive. We are talking about video games, so the people who look at your work, they are also maybe players. And Do you care about them, about what they do with your sculpture, or what they want, or what they feel, or do they have any influence in the next game or installation you create?
Yeah, I think so. Like I'm always like interested in having conversations with people, maybe more about their own interest than how they feel about my sculptures, because I feel that's really like up to the viewer and that's their experience. But what I do really want is that my sculptures are inviting to an audience and that they take away a little bit of the intimidation that computer hardware sometimes can have or sometimes want to impose, and I try to make it more friendly. So this is what I hope to to get across to the viewer.
Okay, very nice. Is there any question here, or do you all want to play? Pablo, yeah.
So, I really admire your practice and the hybrid nature of it. Also, bringing to life all consoles that are considered waste. And I was interested, how do you relate with waste? You saw a lot of prototype of these big pieces. You are concerned about repairability, but what comes with the waste of prototyping with your pieces? Do they find place in future pieces? Do you have process to recycle all these things? Or?
Yeah, not everything. Like I would love to be fully waste-free, but it's just not always possible. I try to incorporate it in some of my material processes, like I do a lot of metal casting, and then the metal I use, it's endlessly meltable and castable again. But then, of course, you do use energy, so that it's never waste-free. And then, yeah, for the printing, I use a lot of PLA material, which you can argue is some kind of bio because it's made from corn, but there's also debates about that. So, I do try to think about it, but it's not 100% possible. I do also try to think about it in ways of my own energy that I use, that sometimes I 3D scan components I made, for instance, from ceramic clay, so I can later print them again and use them again. So there's also a bit of database building in that sense. Yeah.
I have a question I forgot to ask, because when we started this work, we invited you, and at Sickhouse we're really fascinated by this sculptural way of dealing with consoles, and so this is really fitting to all these things we are reflecting on. But then this exhibition, very quick, I think, evolved in this. So it was not an exhibition with you, but like a group show. And you did this. You said, "No, I bring more people," and you selected. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can tell a little bit about these people that are not here right now, but that are a big part of the show.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Of course, the biggest collaboration was with Vincent Sombray. That's also the title of the show, but also of the title of the sculpture, Friendly Secrecy System. That was super enjoyable to work with them because I was a big fan of their games already before, so I'm super happy that they agreed. I love all the games, but on the red 3DS sculpture here, there's a work by Philippe Ullmann. And they allowed me to take their rendered 3D video and make it into stereoscopic 3D video that you can then watch in stereoscopic 3D on the sculpture. On the Game Boy in the back, there is a game by a group that was created at Fluid Space during a game jam. That was a Parama computing game jam that actually me and Rijn together also were a part of. And the game jam is where you create a game in about 2 days, and then in the end there's a little bit of a competition element, and then the best game gets some kind of award, and this was the best game from that game jam. So it was fun to invite somebody that went through the same process as us. On the couch there's a Game Boy game by Toni Catino. She makes really fun games. This game is called Before the Storm, but the previous game of her that I showed is called Lesbian Ants. Lesbian Ants, That's about a colony of lesbian ants. That is super fun, but you can ask me after the show, and I would be happy to give a tour.
Yeah. No, it's also because each of them, then they bring you in different worlds, and then it's like fascinating new people to get to know and to play the game.
Yeah.
So it's really thank you for this. For us, so it's really cool. I think maybe we can go to the exhibition, play these games, or if you want to add something.
Well, I think it's
good.
all I have to say.
That was very good. Cool. Thank you very much.
I would like to add one thing. Thank you very much, of course, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Not really happy.
Yeah.
So, enjoy.